Hey, welcome to another Midweek with Max. This is Rick, live with JCV, Jeremy, Marco, Joshua, Antonio, and of course our co-founder Max Sanchez. I don't know why my camera's not turning on, and I also don't have sound effects. So this is a great way to start it off. Here's some other good news. This is going to be this is going to be a shorter session today. Just to give everyone a brief heads up, we're probably not going to be running as long as usual, and certainly not over. So please, no ZK provability questions specifically on this session. You can ask twice as many next week, and we'll go as long as you want. But anyway, let me kick it over to Max with weekly updates and all the other good stuff, and then we'll get into some questions.
All right, sounds good. So thanks everyone for joining us. To start off, we did have an incident on mainnet yesterday that has been resolved. There was an issue. We're publishing a postmortem that has more tech details for people who are interested. That should be going out in the next couple of hours here. But basically, there was a bug in an HVM precompile that we were aware of and had actually been reported through the bug program. But we had internally, mostly from my initial assessment, believed it was not a vulnerability. It was just a correctness behavior bug that we were going to patch in one of the future HVM upgrades, because it does change HVM precompile behavior. So you need to deploy it as a coordinated upgrade across node operators. But there was a way to exploit it, which I had not initially considered in the impact model when we assessed it, which was doing an L1 to L2 force inclusion transaction, which triggered the bug. So normally a transaction that triggered the bug would have been caught and just ignored either at the RPC or the peer-to-peer layer, which is why initially we didn't think it was an issue. But this other vector existed for basically causing that error to exist as part of the sequencer block building process. So that has been patched. The network is recovered and healthy. Peer-to-peer is working. So everything should be back up and operational. We are still working with third parties for them to do node upgrades on their side. So a lot of third parties have finished node upgrades. Some of them are still in the process. So we're coordinating with them to get that done. But no funds are at risk. There was no network reorg. So it's just a temporary liveness issue while we fixed the bug and got a patch rolled out to our own infrastructure and partners. And like I mentioned, there is a postmortem that will be coming out shortly on the Hemi blog. So if you want to read more details about what happened and some of the procedures that we're putting in place to prevent these types of issues from occurring in the future, definitely stay tuned and give that blog post a read. Other than that, things are continuing as normal. No major updates this week. We are continuing to work on the opreth migration and doing some final testing and fuzzing on that. This liveness issue with that we experienced yesterday just highlights the importance of testing, integration testing, fuzzing, especially as we're going to have this transition period between deprecating opgeth and fully transitioning to opreth. It's doubly important that we have the right testing infrastructure and code review procedures in place to make sure that during that transition, both of them are exactly functionally equivalent. And so we are, that's part of why we're taking so long with opreth, is being very careful about testing those exact types of things. So that's still moving along. Also still moving on the codename minerfy piece, doing some more testing and review of that. Hoping to be doing some public testing of that in the next few weeks. So if you want to participate in that, make sure you are in the beta testers channel in Discord. Beyond that, also kind of side project, but making progress on the ZK proving marketplace. Also hoping to launch a beta of that on testnet for the community to play with in the coming weeks as well. And I think those are all of the major updates. So with that, I will turn it over to Rick, and we can go through an abbreviated AMA session.
All right. I almost had a stroke when you said ZK provability. I was like, oh, shit. Here we go again. All right.
I'm controlling myself today.
I love the restraint, my friend. Before we kick things off into question land, let me kick things over to Jeremy, who is now immortalized forever in Brotown.
The biggest update for me is that I have a brand new avatar in the Brotown game. I think that if you guys go to website that these guys have set up, brotown.net, you'll be able to set up your avatar, and you can choose Max's luscious hair or my coiffed beard, I would say, something along those lines, and more hair references. Anyway, in marketing this week, you can join the Built on Hemi show on Friday. We'll be joined by Dylan Hansen from DIA and having a conversation with him. And in the meantime, we'll be providing you more information, as Max mentioned, about the recent issue that we experienced and the precautions that we'll be taking moving forward. And with that, I can hand it back over to Rick.
Well, thank you, sir. And if you, speaking of the incident yesterday, for more information, please check out the Node Operators channel if you are a Node operator, and also the announcement channel in Discord. And like everyone said, there will be some further updates and a what's it called? A debrief, a post-mortem. That's the word I'm looking for later today. All right, let's get into some questions as soon as I find them. Here we go. When will the new pop payout algorithm be deployed to mainnet?
Coming soon. We've had some delays in getting that deployed, but it will be deployed shortly. We do have to get sort of this post the incident yesterday. We're still working on one more node update to add some more hardening features. And so once we get that merged in and released, then we can merge all of the pop payout stuff on top of that and then release that. So, and that one is a sequencer only upgrade, so it doesn't require a coordinated node upgrade. So it is coming very soon.
All right. Let's see. Question on YouTube. Will there be any NFT related contests in Hemi?
NFT related contests, nothing that we're planning as a team. So one of the sort of back burner sort of developer engagement things that we're working on is a capture the flag competition on chain. So being able, as a developer, coming in and learning about smart contract exploits, ZK exploits, maybe something with FHE even, just general good security stuff to know in the crypto space, and also some Bitcoin related ones, some Hemi specific ones with HVM. And as part of that CTF, we are going to be doing something around NFTs. We're still working on the exact style of it. If you were in the Builder AMA or the office hours last week, I think we talked about that in a little more detail. So we'll be doing something with NFTs, but it won't be a NFT competition per se. We're floating the idea of doing some sort of very simple, like on-chain trading card game. So you'd get like trading cards as you complete different quests in the CTF, and then turning that into some minimal but interesting on-chain game, maybe with some interesting Bitcoin related or Hemi specific components. So not exactly ready to share details because we're still working that out internally. But that is one upcoming thing related to NFTs. Other than that, we do have a community member who's working on a really cool NFT marketplace. And so we're doing a final review round on our side of just smart contract audits that we're doing for them, just to have a greater certainty that what they're launching is correctly written. And so we're finishing that up, and that should be launching fairly soon here. That's not an NFT competition, more of NFT marketplace. I don't know if there's anything else, Rick, that you're aware of on the community initiative side, but that's the only major NFT thing on the team side would be the CTF, and that's still a little amorphous as we plan it out.
All right. Yeah, what I can add is the community member who's developing the NFT marketplace happened to be the person who asked that question. So I will throw
I figured there
right
might have
back
been a connection.
Yeah. Alpha,
Just a random guess.
I will reverse you on this and say that since you're developing an NFT marketplace on the Hemi network, why don't you coordinate with Alex about making an NFT competition and we can have it go live? So
speaking of which, we will have that final audit overdue in the next probably 24 hours. So stay tuned for that.
Perfect. All right, let's see. Well, the next question was, can you tell us more about the upcoming Capture the Flag event? But I believe you just did. So
we could cover in a little more detail. That was kind of an NFT-oriented version of it. So For anyone who's been in sort of the cybersecurity world, or to a lesser extent cryptography, but definitely cybersecurity in general, you're probably familiar with what are called CTFs, which is the sort of online competition. It usually runs for a period of time, like over a weekend or something. And there's a bunch of challenges in different categories, kind of like, imagine a Jeopardy board where you have categories of different types of issues. Like, this isn't what we're going to be doing specifically, but, reverse engineering, or, website exploitation, or, uh, you know, database injection or whatever. And you have all these categories of different types of challenges and then different difficulties of them. So you might have, some really easy SQL injection as gets you 100 points. And then there's some ridiculously hard reverse engineering problem that's, you're going to spend a day and a debugger trying to figure it out, and you get 1,000 points for that. And people usually, well, it depends on the CTF, but a lot of them have people competing in teams. So you have a group of people who all sign up under a team, and you kind of try to organize your team to have one guy who's a reverse engineering expert and one guy who's a web security expert, and so on and so forth. And you tackle the competition as a team, and then there's a leaderboard for who, as a team, or if it's an individual CTF who's an individual, has gotten the most points, completed the most challenges, weighted based on the challenge difficulty. And then sometimes there's prizes attached to it, depends on the CTF. A lot of them are just for fun and educational. So the one we're doing for Hemi specifically is a fully on-chain, blockchain-focused one. So you're not going to be, reverse engineering a x86 binary or something like that. It's going to be things that can be validated on-chain. So either being able to exploit a intentionally vulnerable smart contract, being able to break some sort of insecure use of cryptography, things of that nature that are verifiable on-chain in some way. I won't get off onto a ZK tangent, but we are going to be using ZK proofs as kind of an interesting way for some of the challenges that can't be verified directly on-chain, like, hey, you correctly exploited this contract and it set this state to this thing. There will be a ZK proof system around it. So basically, you can, if you're able to, say, crack private key is a good example because you could sign a message with a cracked private key, but any of the challenges that give you a flag, which is the thing you're trying to recover or get or access as part of the challenge, that can't be verified normally on chain, you'll be able to ZK prove your knowledge of the flag on chain so that you're not revealing that flag to everybody else. So it gives us a way to do the CTF on chain, which makes it less on infrastructure and also kind of more interesting from just a general kind of CTF format perspective. There will be some prizes. We don't want to enforce really like draconian anti-Sybil mechanisms. And so we're trying to figure out how exactly to balance that, and some of the rewards and how we can structure that depends on what exact system we implement. So that's still TBD. But there will be at least some rewards for either like top team, top individual, or first to complete specific challenges, things of that nature. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be all on chain. It's going to be Hemi focused. It's going to combine stuff from EVM world, stuff from the Bitcoin world, Hemi specific features with using HVM precompiles. A lot of it sort of generalizes to beyond blockchain stuff, like using insecure sources of randomness, but doing that with a blockchain twist, like using the Ethereum RANDAO in a way that's not secure for, say, an on-chain betting application or something like that. So still working on the challenges. We don't have an ETA for when the CTF is going to go live because it's a nights and weekends kind of fun thing that we're working on. Obviously, there's other priorities with all of the major features we're developing with MinerFi and HBitVM, the ZK proving system, the Opera transition. So this is the lowest priority item, but it's a fun thing to work on, and hopefully we'll get some cool community engagement, cool developer engagement, and we're going to have fun with it. And Rick may or may not be appearing in a panda costume, if that gives you an idea of what's going to be happening during the CTF.
There is a very good chance that I'm going to be wearing a panda costume at some point. The entire event is going to be really unhinged, and we encourage creators to get involved as well, as there will be teams, and teams need names and logos. So I don't know, but let's just say you will all be seeing from Florida Panda very soon.
And panda costumes are much more reasonably priced than one might have realized.
Yeah, I was looking and I was surprised at how easy it is to get into the panda costume world. Wow.
It's really weird. It actually, so we had a full-on capture the flag meeting last week. I believe we're having another one this week, if not maybe next week.
Oh,
But
good.
regardless,
I forgot to schedule that.
yeah, actually, John, if you could schedule that, we are having one this week. John just forgot to schedule it, but yeah, the entire last session got derailed because we all started looking up panda costumes. So
I am
so
worried,
that's
guys. I am
little
really
taste.
worried.
See, Marco, you didn't join the CTF meeting, so it went off the rails.
Yeah.
That must have been it. Yeah, because I'm the one who keeps things on the rails.
Clearly, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I think Marco's just pissed because he doesn't get to wear the panda costume. So,
No, I'm having unfresh thoughts. I'm just saying about you guys looking up panda costumes.
We got some
It's a
actual
little
work
weird.
before
That's all I'm
that, just
saying.
to clarify.
there was a very good reason. just wait till we put out the mascot for it.
All right, I
Anyway.
can't wait.
And HR does not need to be involved in this. Just
Oh,
for
God.
clarity.
Not those people.
No, we
Oh,
want builders, creators, and the community, but HR will not be involved for many reasons. All right, let's move on. Konang asks, what is Vetro? Jeff has been retweeting posts from them, and Hemi follows their Twitter.
Yeah, so we're still in sort of semi-stealth. We're going to be releasing a website, or we already have some version of a website, but a website with more information, as well as a white paper in the near future. I'm not sure the exact ETA on that, probably in the next couple of weeks here. What I can say is Vetro's there's some specific wording we have to use because there's a lot of different regulatory jurisdictions that this has to properly align with, but basically it's a protocol that generates yield and homogenizes different types of cryptocurrency assets into sort of a common layer. So if you go back probably like 6 months ago, maybe longer, we had for a while been floating the idea of kind of a meta BTC, meta ETH, meta USD. The idea being that these would be sort of homogenized versions of tokens where you could put in any of the approved like sort of blue chip list of tokens in that class. So, for say USD, for example, would be, USDC, USDT, maybe Frax USD, and then maybe others could be added with a, lower total protocol portfolio cap. And then the protocol can go and earn yield on those underlying assets and then homogenize them into a single common ERC20 representation that's backed by that bucket of different, in that case, USD-based stablecoins at a over-collateralization ratio. So each, $1 of VUSD or Vetro USD would be backed by more than $1 worth of a combination of USDC, USDT, Frax USD, whatever is permitted by the protocol. And then there's a staking component. There's can't get too much into the details on that until we publish the information, but there's different ways to earn yield on different timeframes with it. And it's the goal is to act as sort of a easy to use, highly secure and robust yield system and liquidity system for different types of assets where liquidity is currently fragmented in the space. So when you look at, say stable coins, there's a lot of different stable coins. They all have different liquidity and different protocols and different chains. And so this is a way to sort of homogenize that and also create a yield layer on top of it. Also, I think I mentioned this maybe in a previous midweek or previous office hours, one of the two, but we're going to be using Vetro as part of our Hemi Earn product. So we had released a version of Hemi Earn for beta testers to try out in the beta tester channel. And that was based on sort of an older, simpler architecture. But now that we have this architecture we built for Vetro, which is natively multi-chain, it is very modular, so it's easy to jump between different yield protocols. We're going to be using that as sort of the backend for Hemi Earn. So Hemi Earn is going to be a portal to a Vetro-powered yield system on Bitcoin, stablecoins, in the future ETH and ETH derivatives that you can enter and manage from the Hemi network. So even though it may be getting yield from a combination of something, protocol on Hemi and a protocol on Ethereum and a protocol on, Base or some other EVM, Ethereum L2 or even Ethereum L1, the user experience will be wrapped in such a way that you can just interact with it directly from the Hemi network or the Ethereum network. But for Hemi's purposes, you can do everything from Hemi, and then all of the cross-chain routing, yield sourcing, all that's handled behind the scenes under the hood by Vetros protocol. So more details coming soon. It is I describe it as like a sister project to Hemi. So we're not sharing engineering resources other than a little bit on the smart contract development side. So it's not being built by this protocol engineering team. I'm involved in it to some extent. I'm working on some interesting AI stuff for sort of automated yield sourcing with a human gated component. So basically AI to find yield sources and then a human to go in and actually triage and do risk assessments and audits and stuff like that on them. So it's a cool project and hope to share more on that once we get the white paper published.
All right. We are back with another question from Konang. Will there be a new testnet or testnet tasks? And I'm going to add to this and say, I hope the faucet does not return, if there is.
The only faucet we will ever do will be an on-chain automated faucet that mints like a dummy token to use for something. Not like the Bitcoin faucet that we ran for testnet.
I think we should instead have the faucet be, we give Rick a wallet and people message him to ask.
Return of Capsule Part 2 Electric Boogaloo.
And you must start with when.
Oh my! Have I not been through enough the last 2 weeks?
Wait a second. Okay, so in Jeopardy, you have to answer the questions with what is. Here, you have to start every question with when.
Indeed.
Anyway, for testnet, broadly speaking, yes, but it's going to be in a much more limited fashion than like the original incentivized testnet, because we don't need people hammering and stress testing all different parts of the protocol like we did for the incentivized testnet. So there will be specific, as we roll out some of the stuff we're working on, like MinerFi, like the ZK Proving Marketplace, a little later on, but HBit VM, as we roll out those things for testing, those will be tested first on testnet, and there will be incentives for people to test it, but it's probably not going to be the open points-based format that we've done before. It's probably going to be something a lot more controlled with the beta tester channel, people who understand the technology, have been in the ecosystem, and are doing more than just doing 2 tunnel transactions every day for 3 months straight. It's going to be more targeted stuff like hey, participate in HBit VM covenant emulation. Here's some fake testnet Hemi tokens, stake them into the VE Hemi contract, restake those into the covenant emulation protocol, and then participate around covenant emulation. And if you do that, then you get some fixed amount of mainnet real Hemi tokens as a testing bounty. And then if you find a bug or report a usability issue, then that would also be part of, you get an incentive for that. That's also graded based on severity and usefulness and uniqueness of the issue you reported. So we will be doing testnet related stuff and incentivized testing, but it won't be in the format of, a points program on testnet. It'll be targeted things that we're rolling out to mainnet. And before we do that, we want to test it thoroughly on testnet, get usability feedback, get testing, see if anyone runs into weird, unexpected issues with any part of the stack we're asking them to run. And those will be a lot more technically involved. So they might be, for the ZK Proving Marketplace, running a ZK miner on your computer that actually requires a, powerful GPU and a little bit of setup, and configuring it with a wallet to post on-chain transactions to close out, to claim and then close out ZK proof tasks. For MinerFi, it might be, running the continuum daemon that actually participates in the threshold signature scheme and going through the whole restaking route with, staking into VE Hemi and then restaking that through the future VE Hemi upgrade that's going to enable that restaking system into the MinerFi protocol to be part of the threshold signature scheme. So it's going to be yes, there will be incentivized stuff to do on testnet, but it's going to be probably confined to the beta testers channel in most cases, and much more technical and require more, lifting from individual users to do stuff.
All right. Max, if you thought we were done with testnet questions, oh, buddy, you would not be correct. Will Hemi move to testnet 4 and the next Ethereum testnet? If so, when will this occur?
Short answer, yes. So testnet 4, TVC is fully compatible with testnet 4. We've done some testing. The original plan was at some point to migrate the current Hemi Sepolia-based testnet to Bitcoin testnet 4. There's some issues, as people have. If you've been around since the testnet pop mining days, you probably remember the insanity of Bitcoin testnet 3 with the difficulty bomb issue, and that makes it hard to test certain types of HVM-based applications, because you can have these large reorgs happen under the chain that you never experience in mainnet. It's not something that you need to or should be hardening a protocol against, because by doing that, you'd almost make the protocol unusable. And testnet 4 fixes that. So the original plan was migrate Hemi Sepolia to testnet 4. But now that Ethereum is going to be deprecating the Sepolia network, probably makes more sense to spin up a new Hemi testnet on the new Ethereum testnet, and have that start out from the get-go with testnet 4 instead. So I'm not exactly sure on if there's been a timeline set for the new Ethereum testnet launch. I don't know, Sean, you track some of that closely. If you have any updates on that side.
There is still no timeline for the new Ethereum testnet. I've been checking constantly. There has been some chatter about a Bitcoin testnet 5. So
I think testnet 4 is fine.
So I just wanted to color that in a little bit. So I have been using testnet 4 exclusively for a very long time now. So well over 6 months at this point, and I've been beating it up pretty well. So testnet 4 is certainly working with our code.
And also, you've been testing some cool ordinal stuff on testnet 4 too, and encountered a lot of ordinals somebody minted.
No, and there's actually some interesting stuff hiding in there, because all of the ordinal code was developed on testnet 4. So there are some pretty heavy locations on the chain where you see bad things happening. So when I wrote the original indexer, around 65,000 or 60,000, 65,000, that part takes quite a bit of time to index, and then again around 85,000. So there was a lot of fooling around, if you will, with ordinals at that point. So there's definitely it's a great system, a great testnet to play with if you want to mess with ordinals.
Right. Oh, and speaking of ordinals, Marco, did you want to point the community towards certain upvotes?
Yeah, I mean, there was again a little bit of movement on the MetaMask stuff, but I can always use more people clicking, the thumbs up or a plus on the MetaMask issues that are still open. There's still 3 open. I actually over the weekend was able to get every question that the ordinal indexer currently responds to in in O1 fashion. So because Max challenged me that my graph was too slow, and that made me angry. So so that thing is actually working pretty well, and I'm doing final tests on mainnet to see if I indeed can make it work there as well.
All right. Let's see where we're at here. What role does the Hemi token serve other than governance?
Yeah, a lot. So we do have governance coming soon. We're working on final integration with a governance platform that's going to be integrating the Hemi chain, deploying on it. So we're going to be using that for the initial wave of Hemi token-based governance, as well as now with the integration, it'll be available for anyone else who wants to launch a DAO on the Hemi network that uses that governance system. I think you can figure out who we're going to be using for governance if you are eagle-eyed and look at some of the recent GitHub commits on a couple different repos. But we'll be formally announcing that as soon as they finish the integration. And then beyond governance, the roadmap's basically all of the decentralized features of the Hemi network that were currently working on. So MinerFi, HBit VM, the ZK proving marketplace, decentralized sequencing, decentralized batching and publication to Ethereum for DA and state root publication. And then eventually, as we get into Chain Builder, the shared sequencing, shared DA system, all of those are going to be powered by a restaking system built around the Hemi token. So right now you have the Hemi token itself, just as a standard ERC20. You have VE Hemi, which is the staked version of the Hemi token. And it's based on the well-known sort of vote escrow pattern where you can stake for certain periods of time. The longer you stake or the longer you lock up your tokens, the more weight that your token position has relative to other holders for incentives, for governance votes. And then as we expand that out to be a full economic security restaking layer, you'll be able to use your VE Hemi positions to opt in to participate in all these different parts of the decentralized protocols we're launching. So for MinerFi, you can be part of the threshold signature scheme that secures the sort of temporary flow wallet for Bitcoin that's managed by the Fastbridge part of the system. For HBit VM, you'll be able to participate as a covenant emulator and or as a liquidity operator. And again, some of these roles require different sizes of positions and other things like a certain amount or type of compute, access to, in the case of like HBit VM operator, liquidity operators needing native BTC liquidity to provide in the event of a withdrawal from a ZK vault so you can front the liquidity properly. So some of them have just the requirement of VE Hemi tokens that you restake. Some of them have a minimum threshold of VE Hemi tokens or VE Hemi stake weight that you'll need. And then some of them also have additional requirements, whether it be compute or liquidity and other tokens, things of that nature. But so it'll be MinerFi participating in the threshold signature scheme, HBit VM covenant emulation, and liquidity operator operation. For the ZK proving marketplace, it'll be a consortium, not quite the right term, but basically a consortium of ZK proof job complexity verifiers and attesters who, for some of the proof systems that don't natively support compute complexity attestations alongside the regular ZK proof, that they will attest to that in a consensus style fashion in the protocol to allow the protocol to properly evaluate the compute complexity of jobs and then settle them for compute unit based payment for jobs that use that sort of style. For decentralized sequencing, that one's pretty obvious. You just restake the Hemi, run a node as a sequencer, kind of like Ethereum staking. For decentralized batching and publication, there's a little bit of an intersection with the ZK proving part, but that's basically paying ETH transaction fees to publish data, whether that be a DA blob or a state root with a corresponding ZK proof that you've assembled from the ZK proving marketplace, publishing those to Ethereum and paying fees in ETH, and then collecting revenue from the protocol's built-in incentives for sequencing, publishing, and batch publication. And then for the shared sequencing, shared DA system, that's a way as we start building out Chain Builder and get L3s to adopt Hemi. They're basically VE Hemi holders can restake their positions to provide infrastructure that makes those chains operate correctly and be able to interoperate with each other. And then by providing that infrastructure, which involves compute, storage, and bandwidth, then that'll also be another revenue source that's generated from basically protocols, kind of like how Hemi pays fees on the Bitcoin and Ethereum networks, Bitcoin for POP publications, Ethereum for DA and state root publications. Similarly, L3s will be paying for POP publications through Hemi, but also this decentralized infrastructure that VE Hemi stakers can run. So short term, it's going to be primarily used for governance. Longer term, as we introduce each of these decentralized components, we need economically bounded, incentive-aligned operators to participate in them, and that'll all be through the VE Hemi restaking system.
All right, let's see where we're at. There is a follow-up. Also, where does the Hemi token fit into the ecosystem's future?
So I think the last answer mostly covers that. There are also some other things that we're working on around the economic model. So let me grab a link to that real quick. So the big centerpiece is the VE Hemi restaking, because that allows that's a way to generate a lot of different sources of protocol yield from like actual activity that the VE Hemi restakers are creating and facilitating and securing. So for example, HBIT VM, you get deposit and withdrawal fees, MinerFi deposit and withdrawal fees, decentralized sequencing, there's transaction fees to collect in MEV. The ZK Proving Marketplace, people who are submitting jobs to it are paying a transaction fee for proof completion that goes to the protocol, and then from the protocol into the people who are powering the system. For decentralized sequencing, decentralized DA for chain builder, all of that is generating, new yield from chains that want to be part of the Hemi ecosystem, benefit from the shared infrastructure. And so all of those are accretive new yield or revenue sources for the Hemi blockchain itself, the protocols that run on the Hemi blockchain, and thus the people who are operating them and bonded to behave correctly in the protocol by VE Hemi restaking. We do also have the Hemi economic model, which, if I post a comment here, does it? No, I need to connect to YouTube. Okay. I'm
Yep.
send
So
this
I will never chat here because of that.
Yep. All right. I sent a Joshua, if you're able to take that link I sent in Slack and post that. That is one of our first hippos, which is the Hemi improvement proposal. And that was for the Hemi economic model. So there's 4 different phases we outline in it. So where we are today is basically the protocol collects fees from people doing transactions on the network. A portion of those get burnt. A portion of those get distributed to people who are holding VE Hemi positions based on their relative stake weight in the system. And then we also have additional phases for basically a protocol-owned liquidity, protocol-owned liquidity, and a short-term treasury system, which is a way to kind of more intelligently handle the assets flowing through the protocol as fees. Have some protocol sort of evergreen funds that are collected from fees and then used to add liquidity to certain protocols, and eventually that can be handed over to governance, and sort of a smoothing mechanism to smooth the economic inputs and outputs of the system. So all of the different revenue sources or protocol yield sources, as those launch, kind of coming into a bucket and then having a smoothing where those are used for yield generation by the protocol at the direction of governance, and then that yield and then a portion of sort of the total net value flowing through the system then gets distributed on a more smooth cadence to VE Hemi stakers. There will be at some point a decentralized voting or vote incentive market. So as governance matures, there's going to be more things that people are voting on that have economic consequence. So for example, how that protocol owned liquidity is being directed to different protocols, or how incentives are being distributed for building or running certain types of DApps on the Hemi network, things like that. And so an additional revenue source for VE Hemi holders, I should say yield source, would be participating in that, vote marketplace for people to be able to basically pay certain incentives for certain people to vote for certain incentive allocations by the protocol, or certain protocol and liquidity allocations. And then finally, phase 4, which is a little less defined here, but it's basically a dual staking model. So staking Hemi tokens along with BTC, and maybe in the future ETH as well, but BTC is the primary focus, and that creates sort of a more incentive aligned. So as we scale out the Hemi Earn product and we get more interesting, more competitive Bitcoin yield sources that are available and can scale to large amounts of deposits, then we can sort of gate that system and incentive align it by requiring, if you want the maximum yield on your Bitcoin, then you also need to stake Hemi tokens into VE Hemi alongside that Bitcoin to be not just somebody who's, in the protocol for 3 days capturing some spike in yield or something, but to encourage more long-term stable Bitcoin staking that kind of smooths out the yield curve, lets protocols like Vetro as the underlying yield engine behind it allocate resources more effectively with more long-term horizons for staking, and then pair that with VE Hemi is sort of a way to incentive align those participants with the Hemi ecosystem and the way that we're generating yield on Bitcoin through Hemi. So that's sort of the 4 stages independent of the VE Hemi restaking system, which is that economic security engine that's going to power all of these decentralized parts of the protocol that we're working on.
All right, let's see. This is not a question, but on YouTube, Sliced Bread said bread. I would
Yes.
be remiss to not mention that. All right, let's see. Following up on the previous question, not the bread comment, when VE Hemi rewards?
We will be sending out the next batch, hopefully in the next 2-ish weeks. So we did have to wait for that VE Hemi contract upgrade, which was completed successfully about a week and a half ago. So now that that's done, that's unblocked. We're going to be deploying a new rewards contract that's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little smoother for long-range reward claims. And so we're getting that deployed, and then we will deploy the VE Hemi, the next tranche of yield. And that'll also unlock for people with specific scenarios that left them unable to claim the yield. For example, they had a short-term position that they exited partway through a certain yield cycle. That new contract will also unlock those retroactive rewards for them to collect. So short answer, next 2-ish weeks. We were hoping to get it done a little sooner. We had some delays with the doing some internal final audits and reviews on the Hemi contract upgrade. So those are done. That's deployed. We just need to deploy the new rewards contract and then get that the old positions migrated over for people who haven't claimed yet, and then do the next reward distribution cycle. So probably 2 weeks is the current time frame.
All right. And closing out with one more quick question. A bunch of community members had asked this, and it's in the list, so I'm going to ask it. Are there any updates on the post-mortem of the Plutos incident?
Nothing too major. We are going to be posting that post-mortem. Apologies, it did take longer. It got deprioritized versus some other things we had on our plate, especially because there weren't really actionable items that people could really do too much with to actually try to go after the attacker. There wasn't like a smoking gun, like I've said before, of who it probably was. It was, on-chain analytics, tracking fund flows, seeing, sort of address clustering and associations and possible links through back through their funding source of Tornado Cash, which is impossible to do deterministically, but some patterns that were interesting that could maybe be used by somebody who really wants to put, a ton of resources into it to pursue legally. But since there wasn't a, smoking gun, here's who probably did it, or here's a very good lead to, give to law enforcement. It wasn't a high priority to get out just because there wasn't that much people could do with it, but we do still want to get that published. So hopefully we should have that out this week. We've been revisiting, dusting it off, and then updating it with some additional minor but recent on-chain activity that might give people a little more information to work with. So it is coming soon.
All right. And I think that is all the questions I was fed. No, I mean, there's this. What is this? What is Rick's place on the hair game leaderboard? I haven't played yet. If he didn't participate, is it because he doesn't want to lose his pro gamer status? No, I've been playing Brotown, dude. Get out of here. And Ark. I've been playing the shit out of Ark. You don't have to put that on the screen, Josh. God damn it. All right. Well, anyway, like I said, today is an abbreviated episode, so we are going to wrap things up here. But please join us tomorrow at 4 p.m. EDT. Is that right?
Oh no, I think tomorrow is the morning one, right? Because last week we did 4 p.m. So tomorrow is, let me look it up.
Oh, tomorrow is the 11 a.m. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Tomorrow at 11 a.m. EDT for our weekly protocol engineering office hours, where builders, creatives can ask building and creative questions directly to our protocol engineering team. And to a much lesser extent, me, if you want to ask me something about building, which is fucking hilarious.
And
Also,
just
we'll
to
have
clarify, that's the same time as midweek. So basically this exact time block just tomorrow. Or
yes,
calendars are confusing.
same bat time, but different bat channel because office hours happens in Discord. So join us in Discord tomorrow at the same time as Midweek with Max. And also, Jeremy, do you want to remind the folks at home and the millions watching around the world about the Built on Hemi series happening this week?
Yes, remember this Friday at 5 p.m. Sorry, no, it'll be at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, and what is that, 7 p.m. UTC, I think? I'm probably wrong about the UTC time. Please forgive me. But we'll be joined with Dylan Hansen from DIA, and we're going to be having a great conversation about what they're doing in the space and how they're deploying stuff on Hemi, and we'll see you there.
Literally the last 2 minutes is why I think we need to pick a time zone and just like go all in. Like, are
We'll
we
have
going
HST, Hemi
UTC?
Standard Time. It's a blend of
Right.
everyone on the team, and it shifts as we get new team members. We have to recalculate the average median time zone.
You know, time, never time at all.
Dude, it's not going to
Right.
work. We got Australians here. Going to get divided by 0. This is just not happening.
Oh, yeah, good point.
I am plus 10 and then plus 11.
Nobody
so-
understands where you live, Joshua. Not even you, man. You guys are upside down and time traveling.
I keep asking
I
Josh for the
think-
lottery numbers, but he won't give them to me.
I think if we take the median of plus 10 and minus 5, we should just stick with European time.
I think Mark would be happy with that. Or like what, somewhere in France or something?
I am awake when I'm awake, and I'm not awake when I'm not awake. Those are actually the new rule. You know, I'm old enough that is no longer optional.
There's no in between.
Yeah, it just happens at this point. It's like, yep, nope. See y'all later.
So I guess the takeaway here is check our socials for when Built on Hemi is, and engineering office hours happens the same time as Midweek with Max. So
And again, I think it should all be randoms because to keep everybody on their toes.
Every week we take the like a round Bitcoin block number. We use that hash as a seed, and we use that to
There we go.
schedule our entire week.
We're going to bring back
Oh,
pagers,
God.
and we're going to ship every one of you a pager. And then when the pager goes off, that's when the office hours are. And then you have to respond by calling a number from a payphone. And if you don't know what a payphone is, next week, Rick and I will give you a history lesson on payphones.
We'll make that instead of Teach Rick Crypto, it'll be Rick teaches about
payphones.
technology.
Jeremy, please don't promise you're going to send the community a pager.
No one's sending you
Next
pager.
week, win pager.
No one knows what a
Yes,
pager is. I'd be really surprised.
If we start getting when pager questions in Discord, which I'm sure we will, I'm going to tag you in every single goddamn one of them.
You may feel free to page me as much as
Actually-
possible.
Wait, let's cut out the middleman. If anyone has a when pager question, you can ask Jeremy.
You're gonna have
Feel
to
free
put
to tag
the
me
page on this
Discord.
one.
We'll allow it. Anyway, we're gonna wrap things up because it is a shorter session today, and we're finishing 10 minutes early. Don't forget to join the Here server directly after Midweek and Max for the weekly Rumble session, and you can stand a chance to win cool rewards. And yeah, that's it for me. So anyone else?
Nope, things are on my end. So appreciate everyone coming out to another Midweek with Max. Join us tomorrow for office hours if you're interested in asking any building related questions, especially things that you're building on Hemi, especially HVM specific questions, things of that nature. Looking forward to seeing people there. And we did also have a AMA about HBitVM last week. So if you are interested in diving a little more into the tech details, I'm sure we have a recording of that on our YouTube channel, so you can check that out. And yeah, stay tuned. We will be announcing some interesting stuff to test in the near-ish future in the beta testers channel. So if you want to be the first to participate in that, definitely make sure you join the beta testers channel on Discord, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, y'all.
Take care. Take care, amigos. We'll see you in Discord, see you on the socials, and everywhere in between. Bye.